Number 10. Nicki Minaj and Mariah Carey. The feud between these two was swift and difficult to hide. In 2012, Mariah and Nicki were co-judges on the singing competition American Idol, and despite functioning on somewhat the same page, things actually went sour very fast. Over a span of just a few short weeks, American Idol became a desolate wasteland of insults, swear words, and a ton of threats. Yeah, things got pretty heated. According to people that worked on set of the show, Mariah was the one making fun of Nicki, saying mean little comments every time they sat next to each other. She was always saying that Nicki couldn't sing and felt that she should not be judging others on their ability. Some other people claim the opposite is the case, but hey, who really knows? I wasn't on the set. What we do know is that things got so heated that Nicki stormed off set one day, threatening to physically harm Mariah as she did. In 2013, they must have had enough of each other as they both decided to quit the show and go their separate ways. Number 9. Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey. So let's get geeky for a second and talk about the movie Batman Forever. This movie was a failure from the moment the studio decided to fight Tim Burton on his vision. They recasted Michael Keaton, shifted the dark undertone, and turned the whole thing into a big live-action cartoon. Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones played the villains of the piece, the Riddler and Two-Face respectively. For Tommy, the set was nothing but a pain in the neck. According to Tommy and several of the people on set, himself and Jim would argue with each other constantly. He just hated Jim's improv, his goofy attitude, and his overall energetic performance. Now, he literally called Jim a buffoon following the film's release. Despite working very well together on screen, off screen, they were counting down the hours until production wrapped. Number 8. Freddie Prinze Jr. and Kiefer Sutherland. Kiefer is a man known for his roles in movies like Lost Boys or Stand By Me, and he's built himself a nice little nest egg. For a long time, he was starring in crime drama 24. A lot of celebrities made small cameos and recurring roles on that show, but in 2010, Scooby-Doo alumni Freddie Prinze Jr., and yes, I know he's been in other stuff, but that's how I know him, was casted as Cole Ortiz. Despite the massive success of the show, the job actually left him scarred and admitting that he hated every second of it. According to Freddie, Kiefer is just an unprofessional dude that he hated working with. Continuing to say that he wasn't talking trash, this was just something that he would happily say to Kiefer's face. Apparently, a ton of his co-stars agreed that he makes filming a living nightmare. Following the end of his character's time on the show, he did slow down in acting, now limiting himself to voiceover and cameo roles, and the odd thing was that while there was some backing up to Freddie's story, there were a lot of people defending Sutherland, claiming the exact opposite things had happened to them. Some say that he's the most professional man in the world, and some say that he is someone you gotta watch out for. So I don't know, let's get some hashtags going. Hashtag Kiefer good, bad, see which one wins. Number 7. Chevy Chase and Donald Glover. Chevy Chase became a popular man after being involved with National Lampoon and Saturday Night Live way back in the day, but he returned to the mainstream when he starred as Pierce Hawthorne in Community. I genuinely love this show, and Chevy, it got better when he left. It would appear that his Community co-stars would agree with that statement. Around the middle of the show, Chevy started to complain about his co-stars, especially Donald Glover. It became apparent that he was just angry with him and was eventually fired for using racial slurs against him. According to Donald himself, aka Troy Barnes, Chevy would often make inappropriate jokes either aimed right at him or just as a general way to disrupt a scene. Joel McHale, who played Jeff Winger, told people that before he was fired, Chevy was complaining about his character's position on the show and how he was being portrayed. Well, the entire cast reminded him that there wasn't anything that actually was keeping him there, which might have been part of what set him off. His character was written out of the show in humiliating fashion, and I'm not gonna spoil it for you. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. He feeds some geese for just a bit too long, if you know what I mean. Number 6. Wesley Snipes and Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds is known for a lot of things. One of his most iconic roles as an actor is of course the Merc with the Mouth, Deadpool himself. However, in 2008, Ryan was a part of a very different Marvel movie. As some might know, the original Marvel movie that started this whole live-action comics trend was Blade, starring Wesley Snipes as the titular vampire hunter. By the time the third film of that franchise rolled around, Wesley Snipes was actually just done with working on set. He hated the way the franchise was turning out, and all of his creative suggestions were very quickly shut down. His main problem was the fact that Blade Trinity was written as a straight-up comedy movie when the previous entries were more dark and action-packed, filled with gore and some pretty stellar fight sequences. So when Van Wilder was casted to be his co-star, he kinda gave up. He famously refused to film several scenes unless he was allowed to keep his shades on. Apparently he was just micro-napping during takes because he just didn't care anymore. anymore. Ryan Reynolds played a big part in his difficulty enjoying the film. Apparently, Reynolds just made it his mission to make Wesley snap. He'd constantly do bits, push things too far, make stuff up on the set. At the end of the day, Blade Trinity ended up burying the franchise, and it was one of the most chaotic and toxic film sets probably ever. Number 5. Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron. Mad Max Fury Road is a wonderful film in cinema history. It featured like no CGI despite having some incredible visuals, and it also had some pretty stellar performances from its cast, including Nicholas Hoult, Charlize Theron, and Tom Hardy. Charlize and Tom played the main characters, Furiosa and Max. While their on-screen characters end up working together in the end, on set it was just very different. Tom had a bit of a bad habit for showing up late, basically all the time. Meanwhile, Charlize was a brand new mother who would be on time every day while her kids were forced to be taken care of by someone else. In a book called Red, Sweat and Chrome, The Wild and True Story of Mad Max, writer Kyle Buchanan shared an instance on set between Charlize and Tom. Everyone was on set, 8 AM, ready to go, except for Tom. But to make a point, Charlize took her place and stayed there for 3 hours until Tom finally showed up. She didn't move a muscle, and according to the crew, she was beyond furious. When Tom finally showed up, she asked him how he could be so disrespectful. They said that they should fine the See You Next Tuesday $100,000 for every minute that he held up the crew. She didn't say See You Next Tuesday, but the word she did say set Tom off. He rushed up to her and pulled out the whole "what did you just say to me" thing, because he's a big tough guy and he can't hear well. Overall, Charlize felt pretty threatened by Tom and had to have an assistant follow her around on set as a buffer between the two, and I found out that following the film they actually apologized, mended things up, and Tom realized that he was a bit intense on set, which is to say the least. Number 4. The Rock and Vin Diesel. Dwayne and Vin first met on the set of the 5th Fast and Furious movie. This was Vin Diesel's 5th movie while it was Dwayne's first, not just in a franchise, but in the acting world in general. At first, everything was okay with these guys on set. Fast 5 was pretty good, it made a lot of money, and they asked Dwayne to come back for 2 more movies. However, something changed. In 2016, in a now deleted post, he called out one of his fellow Fast 7 co-stars a candy. He actually said a word that rhymes with grass. Rumors started to fly that he was more than likely referencing Vin Diesel. Rumors that were proven true only a week after that post was made. Following the premiere of Fate of the Furious, Johnson posted to Instagram thanking all of his fellow cast and crew, but he left Vin Diesel out of that thank you. It was later confirmed by Fast and Furious co-star Michelle Rodriguez that there was a massive amount of tension on the set of the film. They were buddies at first, but as time went on and the franchise evolved, so did their egos. They fought constantly over who should receive more screen time, who the real lead of the franchise was, all that fun toxic masculinity. To keep both actors happy, Johnson was given a spin-off in which he co-starred with Jason Statham, and Vin Diesel was left right where he belongs with his family, probably making Fast 21 right now. Number 3. Jennifer Grey and Patrick Swayze. Jen and Patrick have starred in a few movies together, most of which were made in the 1980s and are still talked about to this day. Before starring together in the classic 1987 flick Dirty Dancing, they were featured in the film Red Dawn. According to Jennifer, the set was a nightmare for her. While their characters were okay on screen, off screen, Pat was apparently pulling pranks on crew and cast left and right. She said that he was a very alpha individual and acted a lot like a socially unaware jock. She told the director that the things that he was doing just made her uncomfortable and it was just a bit too much. Following Red Dawn, they parted ways for a while but got back together for Dirty Dancing, something that actually almost didn't happen. Jennifer screen tested with Patrick and knew that there was something there, but that she just wasn't into the idea of working with this guy one-on-one. During the audition process, Patrick took Jennifer aside and with tears in his eyes, he apologized for his actions, telling her that this film could only work if they were on the same page. According to Jennifer, the moment following their interaction was when he lifted her up into the air for the first time, and that was it. Nobody else could have been in this movie. There is actually a sequel to the original film in the works, but no current release date is public. Number 2. Rachel McAdams and Ryan Gosling. The Notebook is of course considered to be one of the best romantic movies ever made. Oddly enough, this on-screen couple actually did not get along at all while they were filming. They'd constantly fight on set and had completely different ideas on how most of the scenes should play out. One day in particular was pretty exciting for anyone not involved. Ryan called over the director and demanded that Rachel be replaced by another actress because the way she was reading her lines just didn't work for him. In front of 150 crew members, he was like, "Rachel isn't giving me anything, get her out of here!" The two would constantly yell on set, and that was probably one of the worst days. Their toxic on-set feud somehow morphed into a relationship. They were together for like 2 years, and anyone who worked on the set blames them for constant schedule setbacks and just making an overall bad work environment. And at number 1, Janet Hubert and Will Smith. Will Smith got his big break in the acting world thanks to the success of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, a show that was fantastic and followed Will as the titular prince living with his family in Bel-Air, surrounded by cousins, uncles, and Aunt Viv. In season 1, Aunt Viv was played by a woman named Janet Hubert Witten, but as a lot of people know, she was recasted because an on-set feud with Will just went way too far. According to Will, Janet just saw him as a bad guy, you know? She had been in the business for years when Will suddenly popped into her life. She held a lot of jealousy towards him because he just kind of walked into town and got a job, which is what happens when you're good at acting, I guess. She was trying to convince the producers of the show to give her character more screen time and let her breathe, but of course they said no because it's not the Aunt Viv show. She fought back hard, but it was ultimately decided that she would be asked to sit out for the rest of the series, and she got replaced by Daphne Maxwell Reid, who is the legendary Aunt Viv that we all know and love. Number 10, Leah Remini. Morning talk shows seem to have a new host popping in and out every season. Shows like The View and The Talk are known for having a revolving door policy when it comes to their hosts. For one reason or another, many hosts have been fired over the years, from on-screen altercations to backstage drama. For King of Queens alumni Leah Remini, she was fired due to an issue stemming from fellow host Sharon Osbourne. Remini premiered in season 1 of the show, demonstrating blunt honesty and a certain laid-back style of conversation. According to Leah, Sharon Osbourne did not like that at all. Not only was Leah fired after the first season, but her fellow co-host Holly Robinson Pete was also let go for little to no reason. However, Remini posted on her Twitter page calling Sharon out for having too much power on the show, alleging that she knew Sharon had a hand in herself and Holly being let go from the program. Leah claimed that herself and Holly were just too street for Sharon's liking. They weren't funny enough or awkward enough to make good TV. Sharon has denied those allegations to this day, and no one has spoken to each other in person since the firing. Number 9. Shanine Doherty. Unfortunately for Shanine, she gained quite the reputation in Hollywood for being fired due to an issue with her co-star. She may or may not be making another appearance on this list. I guess you'll just have to stick around and find out. For the first entry though, we're looking back to a very popular series, teen drama 90210. The series following the lives of the Walsh family as they moved from Minneapolis to Beverly Hills. Doherty played the character Brenda Walsh, with her character eventually befriending several students at Beverly Hills High, including Donna Martin, played by Tori Spelling. The series was a hit after its initial season, however, with increased popularity came massive ego boosts. Doherty and Spelling started clashing on set all of the time, adding additional drama to the production team that they really did not need. Considering Tori's father, Aaron Spelling, was the producer on the show, it's pretty simple to piece together what happened. Doherty claims that she was officially let go for having a haircut that messed up the continuity of the show, but a wig could have fixed that, so you better believe Tori Spelling told her papa to boot her from the series. Number 8. Lindsay Lohan. In the early 2000s, Lindsay Lohan faced a ton of public scandals, but one that's not talked about often enough actually took place behind the scenes of a TV show called Ugly Betty. Lohan was a guest star on the show in the 3rd season, playing Kimmy Keegan. Kimmy was supposed to stick around for 6 total episodes, but eventually that number was shrunken down to 4, the reason being that her co-star and the lead of the show, America Ferrera, just did not get along with Lindsay on set. According to America, and actually quite a few of the Ugly Betty crew, Lindsay would show up with an entourage of people and usually under the influence of herbs and spices, and the production crew had to literally repaint her dressing room when she left because it was so messed up. One crew member alleged that she would cut images of her own face out of magazines and tabloid articles like she were making a collage or something. That sounds a little made up, but not out of the realm of possibility. America claims that one scene took over 30 takes to get right because they just kept flubbing their lines. Lindsay's team of buddies have been adamant that America had too much power and was the sole reason that she was asked to leave the show. Unfortunately, if you do bad things and enough people know about it, karma just kinda comes back around. Number 7. Selma Blair. It's funny that this entry involves Charlie Sheen getting a woman fired when he himself has been fired from several projects and for a few reasons. After being fired from 2.5 Men, Sheen returned to the acting world headlining his own show called Anger Management. It premiered in 2012 with the cast featuring Hellboy alumni Selma Blair, playing his colleague and friend with benefits on the show. However, Sheen's terrible behavior continued to haunt him from his 2.5 Men days. Blair was very vocal on her problems with Charlie, especially his messy work ethic. Charlie heard about this and he was having none of it. He threatened to quit the show if Blair was going to remain a part of the cast. Sheen got his way and Blair was let go after starring in just 54 episodes. The show didn't last long though. Who would have guessed that a messy actor being the lead was a bad idea? The show was ultimately cancelled in 2014. Number 6. Aaron Hayes. The King of Queens was arguably the peak of Kevin James and his comedy. For 9 seasons, people tuned in to see Kevin and his on-screen wife, Leah Remini, deliver entertaining banter and genuinely memorable moments as their chemistry together was electric. Kevin made another move into the world of sitcoms in 2016 when the show Kevin Can't Wait premiered. Another family-style sitcom, only this time Kevin was paired with actress Aaron Hayes. While she was not a bad actor in the slightest, it was a special guest appearance from Leah Remini that sealed her fate. She appeared in the season 1 finale and their chemistry was still so strong that it was announced that Hayes' character would be written off the show and literally had her character tragically pass away. At the same time, Remini was announced as a new series regular beginning in season 2. Though the show cited that firing Aaron was purely a creative choice and in no way was reflected in her abilities as a performer, the firing then sudden hiring of his co-star from the past is just a little bit of a coincidence. Just a little bit. Aaron has never given a reason to believe that the studio was lying and has continued to have a pretty solid career, but luckily for her, season 2 tanked and the show was ultimately cancelled in 2018. Number 5. Bruce Willis. Before Bruce quit the acting business for good, he was part of some of the best action films of all time. The Try Hard series, The Fifth Element, and of course the first 2 Expendables movies. The Expendables is a stellar action series that sees Hollywood's most legendary leading men come together in one epic showdown. The first film was written and directed by Rocky himself, Sylvester Stallone, and he called in all of the favors. The cast included Jet Li, Jason Statham, Dolph Lundgren, and so many more, including Bruce Willis. Unfortunately, he was fired from the 3rd film in the franchise following a dispute with Sylvester involving his contract. Before the truth broke, Sylvester tweeted that he had great news, Bruce Willis was out and Harrison Ford was in for Expendables 3. And a few minutes later, he followed it up by simply writing greedy and lazy, a sure formula for career failure. It was pretty obvious that something went down behind the scenes, and it was rumored that Willis had asked for over $1 million per day to film the 3rd movie. Despite their off-screen argument and Bruce's recasting, the two were able to reconnect and squash their beef for good. Number 4. Stacey Dash. While a ton of firing stories end with allegations, the situation between Lisa Ray McCoy and Stacey Dash is actually pretty straightforward. McCoy had Dash fired from their show. That's it. During the first season of the VH1 series Single Ladies, the 2 actresses clashed on basically everything, which led to McCoy taking action. She admitted to having a hand in getting her co-star fired before the start of the 2nd season. In an interview with Vibe, she stated that in Hollywood she learned to be a boss. She had to say to Stacey, "Get your mother flippin' finger out of my face," which was the final breaking point. For the 2nd season of the show, a replacement was brought in for Miss Dash, who went on to star in some other stuff. Number 3. Rose McGowan. So let's talk about the show Charmed for a second. It was a solid series that was on air for almost 10 years. The series followed 3 sisters that discover they are descendants of a line of female witches and are destined to fight against the forces of evil. It was a fun show, however, just because you play sisters on set doesn't mean that you're going to be close in real life. Rose McGowan and Alyssa Milano had a very public altercation that resulted in a little incident on set being shared with the entire world. Rose claimed that Alyssa threw a fit in front of the crew, yelling that they didn't pay her enough to do the things she was doing, and only she didn't say the things she was doing, she said a swear word. She called Alyssa's behavior appalling and claimed that she cried every time the show would get renewed for another season because it just meant more time on a toxic set with Alyssa. Alyssa never shared her own comments on the situation, basically confirming what she was being accused of. Number 2. Bill Murray. Sony's big first move into the world of Charlie's Angels was actually fantastic. The first round of films starred Cameron Diaz, Drew Barrymore, and Lucy Liu as the titular angels. They were filled with action, a little bit of comedy, and just one of the strangest performances ever delivered from Crispin Glover. I mean, one of. That dude does a lot of weird stuff. One interesting addition to the cast was the inclusion of Ghostbusters alumni Bill Murray as Bosley, their boss. Apparently the set was anything but a comedy though after Bill found out that a scene was rewritten while he was away. In an interview with the news outlet Deadline, Lucy Liu spoke up about her time on set and the situation with Bill. Apparently Bill was away for a family event when a scene needed to be refilmed. Instead of using a stand-in, it was decided that the scene could be filmed without Murray's character even being involved, so it went on without him. When he returned to find that the changes were made while he was gone, he was furious and just shouted at everyone, including Lucy. At first, she wasn't sure why he was aiming his comments at her. She didn't do anything, she didn't write it, right? She asked if Bill was specifically speaking to her, and apparently that just set him off. She decided to speak out on Bill's behavior on set, and he was ultimately written out of the sequel. Lucy is awesome for speaking her mind despite being a relatively unknown actor at the time, and so far she seems pretty glad that Bill's career is suffering for it, because Lucy was just the first of many celebrities to comment on his behavior, but we'll talk about that another time. Number 1. Janet Hubert. Will Smith got his big break in the acting world thanks to his time on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The show followed him as the titular prince living with his wealthy family in Bel-Air, surrounded by cousins, uncles, and Aunt Viv. In season 1, Aunt Viv was played by a woman named Janet Hubert Witten, but as a lot of people know, in season 2 she was recasted after an on-set feud with Will went a bit too far. According to Will, Janet just viewed him as an antagonist in her life. She had been in a business for years when suddenly Will Smith popped in. She held this tinge of jealousy towards him because he just kinda came to town, got a job, and boom, that was it. Well, hey, that's what happens when you're good at your job, right? She was trying to convince the producers to give her character more time and allow her to breathe, but they said no, because it's not the Aunt Viv show, it's the Fresh Prince show. She fought back hard, but it was ultimately decided that she was gonna be asked to sit out of the rest of the series and be replaced by Daphne Maxwell Reid, who we all know and love as the real Aunt Viv. Number 10. Michael Keaton. Growing up, Michael Keaton was my Batman. The first 2 Tim Burton directed Batman movies are legendary, and I'm never going to look at Danny DeVito and not see the Penguin. Okay, it's just not gonna happen. One thing I actually never knew though was that Michael was once married to his Batman Returns co-star, Michelle Pfeiffer. In fact, Michael actually tried to get Michelle fired from the project after learning that she had been casted as not only a villain, but as his love interest as well. While the split before production was apparently amicable, it was still an uncomfortable situation for Michael to be in romantic scenes with someone that he had, well, already been romantic with off-screen. At the time, Michael was also trying to get back with an ex-girlfriend and felt that Michelle's presence might ruin his chances. Well, as we all know, he was unsuccessful in getting her fired, the project went great, and the movie was great. So the only bad thing that ever happened was DC telling Tim Burton that his Batman 3 ideas were stupid. Hey man, Robin Williams would have made an excellent Riddler, you jerks. Number 9. John Stamos. John Stamos is not just a fun name to say, but is the man to blame for Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen being absent from the Full House revival Fuller House. A lot of fans of the original series were well aware of why the Olsen twins never returned, but for those of you who don't know, John actually tried to get them fired from the original series when they were still young, and by young, I mean before they were even a full year old. From the very beginning of the sitcom, Stamos complained that Mary-Kate and Ashley were very difficult children to deal with. Apparently if one wasn't crying and screaming, then the other one was. Oh no, a baby screaming and crying uncontrollably. Now that is a unique situation. His dislike for the Olsens forced the producers to bring in a new set of twins, and these are John's real complaints that prevented those twins from taking over permanently. Number 1, they had red hair. Number 2, in his words, they were unattractive babies, and he knew that he made a mistake. That is an awful thing to say about anyone at any age. After realizing that, the Olsens were just kids and that all the other ones were just too ugly to be on TV, that the Olsen twins would be brought back. What's funny is that the studio eventually wanted to fire Ashley Olsen only and keep Mary-Kate, but John actually stepped in and blocked that call. Seems that over the years that he turned into something like an uncle for the twins. For any Mary-Kate and Ashley fans who are just curious as to where they are, they took a break from acting permanently and have been making waves in the fashion industry. Pretty neat. Number 8. Tom Hanks. Who would have guessed the guy that is basically America's dad would be the cause of a man being fired from one of his film sets? Turner and Hooch was a wonderful buddy cop movie starring a young Tom Hanks and this big beautiful doggo named Beasley. When the film first started its production, Henry Winkler, aka the Fonz, aka Barry Zuckerkorn, was the director. As the years have gone by, Henry has always said the same thing about the project. He got along much better with Beasley than he did with Mr. Hanks. The set was plagued with creative differences between the men who would argue constantly on set. Henry's directing style just clashed with Tom's performance style time and time again. After only 13 days on set, there was an altercation between Tom and Henry that left Henry out of work, and Roger Spottiswoode stepped in to take his place. Number 7. Alec Baldwin. In 2013, Alec Baldwin was attached to star in a Broadway production of the show Orphans alongside Transformers alumni Shia LaBeouf. Now from day one of rehearsals, Shia and Baldwin were at each other's throats. Shia's problem was that Alec was never off script. This was something that he considered to be very unprofessional. Shia has since claimed that he was so nervous about the show that he made sure to memorize every single line he had before setting foot on stage on day one. His methods were not reciprocated by Alec, who just kind of showed up with a coffee in one hand and the script in the other one, planning to rehearse in the moment. Well, Shia was furious and he apparently yelled at Alec to learn his lines right then, right there. He said, "Whoa, he's a lead, what's the deal? Why aren't you better at this?" Well, after a couple of weeks and one particularly rough day where Shia blew up at Alec in front of a ton of cast and crew, Alec took 5 and he had a meeting with the producers. He said that if Shia wasn't let go, that he was going to quit the project. Producers caved and Shia was canned. In the tabloid, they claimed creative differences, but Shia later shared his side, clearly upset with being dropped as if he meant nothing to the show. Number 6. Seinfeld cast. Now for this entry, there is no one cast member that could be singled out as the individual who tried to get Heidi Swedberg, aka Susan, fired from the series. In the season 7 finale of Seinfeld, spoiler alert, Jason Alexander's character George Costanza is delivered the news that his wife Susan has suddenly passed away. George is thrilled as he's been wanting to leave Susan for a while now, but it turns out off screen, Jason was just as excited. So were Jerry Seinfeld, Michael Richards, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who made up the other 3 main cast members. According to Jason, he found it difficult to play off of Susan, claiming that there just wasn't a lot of chemistry between them. And as I said, this was a feeling that was shared with the entire cast. Julia Louis-Dreyfus said that it was impossible to have fun with her and her character, and that the producers were planning to write her off at some point in the near future. Well, the gripes of the cast were heard, and her character passes away from licking the glue on cheap wedding invitation envelopes that George insisted they purchase. It is very funny and it's a great way to get a character written off of a show, but it's just unfortunate for Heidi that the entire cast was like, she's not a vibe. Number 5. Jason Momoa. It's no secret that filming Aquaman and its sequel was a bit of a sensitive task. For starters, Amber Heard not only played Jason's love interest in the film, but she was also dealing with the Johnny Depp defamation trial, so a decision had to be made if she was going to continue being involved with DC or if they would just recast her entirely. Well, it turns out that that conundrum was not because of the trial, but it was actually just because of her terrible chemistry with Jason Momoa. Amber Heard has always felt jammed into the DC universe, but we could go on about that forever. Ultimately, the studio never went forward with firing Amber, and it was all thanks to the CEO of Tesla and her former lover, Elon Musk. Back in 2019, Elon had one of his litigators send this scorched earth letter to Warner Brothers, basically threatening to tear the house down if Amber was left out of the sequel. Warner Brothers caved and moved forward. Imagine being so geeky and so rich that you could tell an entire studio what to do for you. You would make millions of movies just for yourself. Despite keeping her job, Amber has continued to hurl allegations against her co-star Jason Momoa to this day, claiming that he was dressing like Johnny Depp on purpose on set to mess with her. But as I've mentioned in previous news breakdowns on that topic, Jason Momoa always looks like Johnny Depp. It's just what some people in Hollywood look like. Number 4, Sylvester Stallone. Richard Gere is one of those actors that doesn't really act. Sometimes people just get hired for films because they have the face for it or the style. For Richard, he did not have enough class and moxie to keep a handle on his role in the film Lords of the Flatbush. He was casted to star alongside Rocky himself, Sylvester Stallone, and according to Sly, these two did not get along. Their beef was strong and long-lasting through the entire production until it finally came to a head when one day Richard was just a little bit too into one scene and grabbed Sylvester aggressively by the collar. When Sly told him to lay off, he laid in instead. Now that scene was being filmed on Coney Island, so when the actors took a minute to take a break, they tried to, well, break each other. Sly was eating a hot dog alone in his car. Sounds very peaceful, but suddenly Richard stormed in to join him with like half of a chicken dripping in mustard apparently. Despite Sly's warning about mustard, like this whole thing started because of mustard. It dripped all over his pants, and in true Rocky fashion, he elbowed Richard in the face and threw him out of the car. The altercation resulted in Richard being fired from the project. Oh no, they had to decide between Richard Gere and Sylvester Stallone. I wonder how quick that meeting was. Number 3, Ryan Gosling. The Notebook is considered to be one of the greatest romantic movies ever made. Oddly enough though, the on-screen couple never got along during the shoot. They would fight with each other on set all the time and seemed to have completely opposite ideas on how basically everything should play out. One day in particular was pretty exciting for anyone who wasn't involved. Ryan called over the director and demanded that Rachel be replaced by another actress to read her lines with him. In front of 150 crew members, he claimed that Rachel just wasn't giving him anything to work with, and they would just constantly yell at each other between takes. Eventually, Ryan asked the director privately if it might be possible to restart the project with a new leading lady, and needless to say, he was laughed out of the room. As time went on, they finished the project, and the two actually dated for almost 2 years. The Notebook is now a classic, and Ryan Gosling is just Ken. Number 2, America Ferrera. In the early 2000s, Lindsay Lohan faced a ton of public scandals, but one that's not talked about often enough actually took place behind the scenes of a little show called Ugly Betty. Lohan was a guest star on the show in the 3rd season, playing Kimmy Keegan. Now, Kimmy was supposed to stick around for 6 total episodes, but that number was actually shrunken down to 4. The reason being was that her co-star and the lead of the show, America Ferrera, did not get along with Lindsay Lohan. According to America and several of the Ugly Betty crew, Lindsay would show up with an entourage of people, usually under the influence of herbs and spices, and the production crew had to repaint her dressing room when she left because it was just so bad in there. One crew member alleged that she would cut images of her own face out of magazines and tabloid articles like she was making a collage or something creepy like that. America claims that one scene took over 30 takes to get right because she flubbed her lines over and over again. Lindsay's team of buddies have been adamant that America had just too much power and was the sole reason that she was asked to leave the show. Unfortunately, if you do bad things and enough people know about it, hey, karma comes around. And at number 1, Lucy Liu. Sony's first foray into the world of Charlie's Angels was a massive success when it released, starring Cameron Diaz, Drew Barrymore, and Lucy Liu as the main angels. The movie was filled with action, a little bit of comedy, and one of the strangest performances ever delivered from Crispin Glover. Seriously, that guy needs help. One interesting addition to the cast was the inclusion of Ghostbusters alumni Bill Murray as the man behind the mic, Mr. Bosley. Apparently, the set was anything but a comedy after Bill found out there was a scene rewritten without his knowledge. In an interview with the news outlet Deadline, Lucy Liu spoke up about her time on set and the situation surrounding herself and Bill. Apparently, Bill was away for a family event when a scene needed to be reshot for the movie, but instead of using a stand-in, they realized they could just film the scene without Bill Murray in it. So it went on, and everything was fine. When he returned to find the change was made while he was gone, he was furious. He reportedly shouted at like half of the crew, including Lucy herself. At first, she wasn't sure why he was aiming so many of his comments directly at her. She didn't write the scene, she wasn't the director, but she asked if Bill was talking to her, which sent him into a full-blown meltdown. She decided to speak out on Bill's behavior on set, and he was ultimately written out of the sequel. Lucy is proud for speaking her mind, because at the time she was a relatively unknown actor and is glad that Bill's career seems to have suffered for it, because hey, Lucy was just the first of many people to comment on his behavior, but we'll leave that for another video. Number 10. Bill Murray. Sony's first venture into the world of Charlie's Angels was a massive success, starring Cameron Diaz, Drew Barrymore, and Lucy Liu as the titular angels. The movie was filled with action, a bit of comedy, and one of the strangest performances ever delivered by Crispin Glover. Seriously, that guy needs some help. One interesting addition to the cast was the inclusion of Ghostbusters alumni Bill Murray as the man behind the mic in charge of the Angels, Bosley. Apparently the set was anything but a comedy after Bill found out that a scene was rewritten without his knowledge. In an interview with the news outlet Deadline, Lucy Liu spoke up about her time on set and the situation surrounding Bill Murray's outburst. Apparently Bill was away for a family event when a scene needed to be reshot for the movie, but instead of using a stand-in, it was decided that the scene could be filmed without Murray's character even being involved, so the scene went on without him. When he returned to find that the change was made while he was gone, he was furious. He reportedly shouted at half of the crew, including Lucy herself. At first she wasn't sure why he was aiming his comments at her. She's not the one who wrote the scene, she wasn't the director or anything. So she asked if Bill was talking to her, which sent him into a full-on meltdown. She decided to speak out on Bill's behavior on set, and Bill was ultimately written out of the sequel. Lucy is proud for speaking her mind despite being a relatively unknown actor at the time, and has always been glad that Bill's career seems to have suffered for it, because Lucy was just the first of many celebrities to comment on his behavior, but we'll save that for another time. Number 9. Dustin Hoffman. Dustin is a very easy man to spot. Not only is he a solid actor, but he has just a very specific face. You know, Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium, anyone? That's an old one. Despite his ability to play lovable and cheerful characters, he actually started out as somewhat of a villain in the world of Hollywood. On the second day of filming his more famous part in Kramer vs. Kramer, Dustin decided to improvise a scene where he strikes Meryl Streep across the face. Let me rephrase that. Dustin Hoffman thought it'd be a great idea to strike Meryl Streep. Mamma mia, that's not okay. Get it? She was in Mamma Mia. I'm so good at this. Not only was Meryl shocked by the move, but she recalled that Dustin was also trying to use a tactic on her called emotional recall, and was literally taunting her about her recently deceased partner John Cazale and his illness. Yay! Number 8. James Franco. Tyrese Gibson and James Franco starred opposite each other in a 2005 dramatic piece called Annapolis. The story follows Franco's character wanting to attend the titular Naval Academy and entering into a boxing tournament against some of the Navy's best and brightest. His main opponent is Tyrese Gibson. Throughout the majority of the filming, James and Tyrese would regularly practice their choreography for their final fight of the film. Now, method acting is one thing when you just pretend to be someone else all the time, but it's different when you're literally punching your co-stars for real. Instead of the normal choreography allowing actors to like fake strike each other, Franco was throwing real punches without warning. Gibson tried to be civil at first and asked him to lighten up, but Franco ignored him and continued to just box his heart out. When asked about the incident in interviews, Franco defends himself by saying that he was aware that he made the set difficult all the time, and claimed to be so wrapped up in his role that he probably just wasn't as friendly as he could have been. Gibson, however, holds a massive grudge towards Franco, claiming that he'd never stepped foot in the same room as him ever again. So good news for Tyrese, James got cancelled and Fast 11 comes out next week. Number 7. Ryan Gosling. The Notebook is considered to be one of the greatest romantic movies ever made in Hollywood, but oddly enough, the on-screen couple did not get along at all during the shoot. They would constantly fight on set and seem to have completely opposite ideas on how several of the scenes should play out. One day in particular was pretty exciting for anyone who wasn't involved, drama watchers sipping their tea, as Ryan called over the director and demanded that Rachel McAdams be replaced by another actress to read her lines with him. In front of 150 crew members, he claimed that Rachel wasn't giving him anything to work with, and the two would constantly yell at each other on set. Their toxic on-set feud somehow morphed into a toxic relationship that lasted for 2 years. Anyone who worked on the set blames them for constant schedule setbacks and creating an overall difficult work environment. Number 6. Tom Hardy. Mad Max Fury Road is a forgotten gem in cinema history. It featured little to no CGI, despite having some insane visuals, and it also featured some pretty stellar performances from its cast, including Nicholas Hoult, Charlize Theron, and Tom Hardy. But Charlize and Tom played the main characters Furiosa and Max, and while their on-screen characters end up working together in the end, on set, pretty different vibe. Tom had a bad habit of showing up late all the time. Meanwhile, Charlize was a brand new mother who would be there on time every single day, while her kids were forced to be taken care of by someone else. In a book about Mad Max Fury Road, the wild and true story of the creation of the film, the writer Kyle Buchanan shared an instance on set between Charlize and Tom. Everybody was there at 8 a.m. ready to shoot except for Tom Hardy. But to make a point, Charlize took her place and stayed there till Tom showed up 3 hours later. She didn't move a muscle, and according to the crew, she was beyond furious. When Tom finally showed up, she asked him how he could be so disrespectful and said that they should fine the See You Next Tuesday $100,000 for every minute that he held her up, and the crew. She didn't say see you next Tuesday, but the word she did say set Tom off. He rushed up to her and pulled out the whole "what did you say to me" thing. Yeah, big tough guy, huh? He can't hear so good. Overall, Charlize felt very uncomfortable with Tom and had to have an assistant follow her around on set as a buffer between the two. When the shoot wrapped, the tension was gone and things seemed to have gotten better, but the difficult shoot combined with the stress is probably why there was never a Mad Max 2, which really hurts. Seriously, if you made it and you're watching this, make another one. Number 5, Vin Diesel. Dwayne Johnson and Vin Diesel first met on the set of the 5th Fast and Furious movie, Fast 5. They're really good with names. This was Vin Diesel's 5th movie, while it was Dwayne's first. Not just in the franchise, but in the acting world in general. He had been in small budget movies, but this was a big budget movie. At first, everything seemed to be okay with these guys on set. Fast 5 made a ton of money, and they asked Dwayne to return for 6 and 7. However, something changed in 2016 when, in a now deleted post, Dwayne called one of his fellow Fast 7 co-stars a candied bum. He didn't say bum, but we can't swear on the internet, so I'm a toddler today. He actually said a word that rhymes with grass. Rumors began to fly that this was more than likely referencing Vin Diesel. Rumors proven only a few weeks after the post was made. Following the premiere of Fate of the Furious, Johnson posted on Instagram thanking all of his fellow co-stars and cast members by name except for Vin Diesel. It was later confirmed by Fast and Furious co-star Michelle Rodriguez that there was a massive amount of tension on set between these guys. They were bros at first, but as time went on and the franchise evolved, so did their egos. They fought constantly over who should get more screen time, who should get more money, who was the real lead of the franchise. You know, toxic masculinity and all that. To keep both actors happy, Johnson was given a spin-off movie in which he co-starred as the lead with Jason Statham, and Vin Diesel was left right where he belongs with his family. Number 4, Janet Hubert. Will Smith got his big break in the acting world thanks to his successful time on the sitcom Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The show followed Will as the titular prince, living with his wealthy family in Bel-Air, surrounded by cousins, uncles, and of course, Aunt Viv. In season 1, Aunt Viv was played by a woman named Janet Hubert Witten, but as a lot of people know, she was recasted after an on-set feud with Will Smith just went way too far. According to Will, Janet viewed him as an antagonist. She had been in the business for years when Will suddenly popped into her life and took lead of a show. She held a tinge of jealousy towards Will as he just walked into town, got the gig, and that's it, you know? Well, hey Janet, I'm sorry, but that's what happens when you're good at your job. She was trying to convince the producers of his show to give her character more screen time and allow her to breathe on camera, but they said no, because it's not the Aunt Viv show, okay? She fought back hard, but it was ultimately decided that she would be asked to sit out of the rest of the series and was replaced by Daphne Maxwell Reid, who is the real Aunt Viv, okay? We all know and love her. Number 3, Alyssa Milano. So, let's talk about the show Charmed for a second. This was a solid series that was on air for almost 10 years. The series followed 3 sisters that discover their descendants of a line of good female witches and they're destined to fight against the forces of evil. Yeah, it was a very fun show. However, just because you play sisters on set doesn't mean that you're going to be close in real life. Rose McGowan and Alyssa Milano had a very public altercation that resulted in a little incident on set being shared with the world. Rose claimed that Alyssa threw a fit in front of the crew, yelling about not being paid enough to do the stuff that she was doing. Only she didn't say stuff. She called Alyssa's behavior appalling and claimed that she cried every time the show got renewed for another season because it just meant more time on a toxic set. Alyssa never shared her own comments on the situation, confirming what she was being accused of. Number 2. Richard Gere. Richard Gere is one of those actors that doesn't really act. Sometimes people just get hired for films because they have the face for it and the style. For Richard Gere, he did not have enough class and moxie to keep a handle on his role in the film Lords of the Flatbush. He was cast to star alongside Rocky himself, Sylvester Stallone, and according to Sly, these two did not get along. Their beef was strong and long-lasting throughout production, until it finally came to a head when one day Richard was just a little bit too into one scene and grabbed Sylvester aggressively by the collar. When Sly told him to lay off, he laid in instead. The scene was being filmed on Coney Island, and when the actors took a minute to take a break, they tried to break each other. Sly was eating a hot dog alone in his car. Sounds pretty peaceful, right? But suddenly Richard stormed in to join him with half of a chicken dripping in mustard. Despite Sly's warnings about the mustard, it dripped all over his pants. And in true Rocky fashion, he elbowed Richard in the face and threw him out of his car. The altercation resulted in Richard being fired from the project. Oh no, we have to decide between Richard Gere and Sylvester Stallone. I wonder how quick that decision was. Number 1. Jared Leto. Now, Jared Leto has always been a problematic figure in the world of Hollywood throughout most of his career. After first gaining notoriety for portraying the character of Lane Dixon alongside Dennis Quaid and Danny Glover, Leto quickly began building up his acting repertoire with roles in iconic movies like Mr. Nobody, Girl Interrupted, and he even took a turn as the Clown Prince of Darkness, the Joker, in 2016, which we don't like to talk about much. It's not a good memory. Jared has always taken method acting to the extreme, losing and gaining weight rapidly over and over again, and it was in the film as the Joker where we think he might have snapped. While playing this iconic Batman villain, Leto purposefully distanced himself from his fellow actors on set, and reports are that he sent the castmates used adult toys, live animals, and deceased animals as well. At one point during filming, Captain Boomerang actor Jai Courtney found a live snake in his trailer following a long shoot day. The snake wasn't venomous or anything, but I think we can all agree that's a big nope. In recent years, he's claimed that any gifts that he sends to castmates are sent with the intent of joy and excitement, and should be received as such. But I don't know, exposing your fellow actors to your body fluids and real snakes? That doesn't sound very exciting.
At number 10, James Franco. It's no longer a surprise to anyone that James is a bad dude, but his misdeeds date back to 2005. James and Tyrese Gibson starred opposite each other in a 2005 dramatic piece called Annapolis. The story follows Franco's character wanting to attend the titular Naval Academy and entering into a boxing tournament against some of the Navy's best and brightest. His main opponent is Tyrese Gibson. Throughout the majority of filming, James and Tyrese would regularly practice the choreography for the final fight of the film. Now, method acting is one thing when you just pretend to be someone else all the time, but it's different when you're literally punching your co-star for real. Instead of the normal film choreography allowing actors to fake hit each other, Franco was throwing real punches without warning. Gibson tried to be civil at first and asked him to lighten up, but Franco ignored him and continued to box his heart out. When asked about the incident in interviews, Franco defended himself by saying he was aware he made the set difficult at times and claimed to be so wrapped up in his role that he probably wasn't as friendly as he could be. Gibson, however, holds a massive grudge towards Franco, claiming he'd never step foot in the same room as him ever again. Good news for Tyrese, James got cancelled and Fast 11 comes out soon. At number 9, Bill Murray. Sony's first foray into the world of Charlie's Angels was a massive success when it was released, starring Cameron Diaz, Drew Barrymore, and Lucy Liu as the Angels. The movie was filled with action, a bit of comedy, and one of the strangest performances ever delivered by Crispin Glover. Oh my god, that guy needs help. One interesting addition to the cast was the inclusion of Ghostbusters alumni Bill Murray as the man behind the mic Bosley. Apparently, the set was anything but a comedy after Bill found out a scene was rewritten without his knowledge. In an interview with the news outlet Deadline, Lucy Liu spoke about her time on set and the situation surrounding Bill's outburst. Apparently, he was away for a family event when a scene needed to be reshot for the film. Instead of using a stand-in, it was decided that the scene could be filmed without Murray's character character being involved, so the scene went on without him. When he returned to find the change was made while he was gone, he was furious. He reportedly shouted at half the crew, including Lucy herself. At first, she wasn't sure why he was aiming his comments at her. She didn't write the scene, she wasn't the director. She asked if Bill was talking to her, which sent him into a full-blown meltdown. She decided to speak out on Bill's behavior on set, and he was ultimately written out of the sequel. Lucy is proud for speaking her mind despite being a relatively unknown actress at the time, and is glad that Bill's career seems to have suffered for it, because Lucy was just the first of many celebs to comment on his behavior, but let's save that for another time. At number 8, Jennifer Aniston. In 2010, Elle asked actor Jay Moore to describe his most awkward interaction with a female celebrity. Moore responded with a blind item that involved a certain leading lady who was upset to learn that he would be playing her love interest. This mystery diva reportedly yelled, "You've got to be kidding me," right to his face. He then revealed that the behavior that followed led to Moore regularly, quote, "go to my mom's house and cry." Asked if the actress happened to be Aniston, who played his love interest in the 1997 film Picture Perfect, Moore said he will never ever answer that. Well, on his More Stories podcast, he did answer that. Moore claimed Aniston pointed right at him on the first day of rehearsal and screamed, "6 guys they screen test. 6. The one effing guy I hate, that's the guy they hire." This apparently went on the entire day as Aniston kept bad-mouthing him to their co-star. Regardless of what really happened on that Picture Perfect soundstage, Moore has apparently never forgiven Aniston. In 2016, Sports Illustrated asked what was more satisfying, kissing Jen Aniston or firing Tom Cruise's character in Jerry Maguire. Moore answered, without question, firing Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is hotter. At number 7, Jennifer Lopez. The 2020 Super Bowl saw 2 pop icons taking the stage and making the night about them and not football. Shakira and Jennifer Lopez appeared together. They absolutely slayed, and their performance has gone down in history as the most memorable and shimmy-filled night in the NFL. Unfortunately, Jennifer did not want to share the stage. Following the show, as a part of her Netflix documentary Halftime, it was revealed that she was extremely annoyed at the NFL for forcing her to share the stage when she felt strong enough on her own, literally calling it the worst idea in the world. Her main concern was the fact that herself and Shakira were meant to occupy and share the same amount of stage time as a normal solo act rather than doubling it like she assumed would happen. Solo artists are normally given between 12 and 16 minutes of stage time, with most artists using that time to do a mashup of their most popular songs. In the documentary, a clip revealed that Jennifer yelled at her music director, complaining that she had 6 effing minutes, 30 seconds per song. Not enough. The worst idea is putting multiple people on the stage. To prove her wrong, one of the most recent performances on the Super Bowl stage saw 6 major artists share the 12-minute spot. Dr. Dre, Eminem, Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar were all able to make it work and work well, but Jen couldn't even fathom the 6 minutes she had to perform. At number 6, Jared Leto. Jared Leto has been a problematic figure in the world of Hollywood throughout a majority of his career. After first gaining notoriety for portraying the character of Lane Dixon alongside Dennis Quaid and Danny Glover, Leto quickly began building up his acting repertoire with roles in iconic films like Mr. Nobody, Girl Interrupted, and even taking a turn as the Clown Prince of Darkness, the Joker, in the 2016 film The Suicide Squad, which landed him a spot on this list. Jared has always taken method acting to the extreme, losing and gaining weight rapidly over and over again. It was this film in which he may have snapped. While playing the iconic Batman villain, Leto purposefully distanced himself from his fellow actors on set, and reports are that he sent his castmates used adult toys. At one point during filming Captain Boomerang, actor Jay Courtney found a live snake in his trailer following a long shooting day. The snake wasn't venomous, but I think we can all agree that's a big old nope. In recent years, he's claimed that any gifts sent to his castmates were sent with the intent of joy and excitement and were received as such. I don't know, exposing your fellow actors to your bodily fluids and actual snakes doesn't sound very exciting to me. At number 5, Wesley Snipes. Ryan Reynolds is known for many things. He's got his toes dipped into the world of adult beverages, wireless cell phone coverage, and he's even a soccer coach. One of his most iconic roles as an actor is, of course, Mr. Deadpool himself. However, in 2008, Ryan was a part of a different Marvel movie. As some may know, the original Marvel movie that started this whole live-action comics trend was the Blade trilogy, starring Wesley Snipes as the titular vampire hunter. By the time of the 3rd film of the franchise rolled around, Wesley Snipes was just done with working on set. He hated the way the franchise was turning out, and all of his creative suggestions were quickly shut down. His main problem, though, was the fact that Blade Trinity was written as a straight-up comedy movie. The previous entries were dark action movies filled with gore and some pretty stellar fight sequences, so when when Van Wilder was cast to be his co-star, he gave up. He famously refused to film several scenes unless he was allowed to keep his shades on, and apparently he was micro-napping during scenes because he just didn't care anymore. Ryan played a big part in his difficulty enjoying the shoot, making it his mission to make Wesley snap. He would constantly do bits, push things too far, just the general Ryan Reynolds chaos that we're used to at this point. At the end of the day, Blade Trinity ended up burying the franchise and was one of the most chaotic and toxic film sets of 2004. At number 4, Kiefer Sutherland. The man known for his roles in movies like Lost Boys and Stand By Me has built a nice little place for himself in Hollywood. For a long time, he was starring in the crime drama 24. Many celebrities have made small cameos and recurring roles on the show, but in 2010, Scooby-Doo actor Freddie Prinze Jr. was cast as Agent Cole Ortiz. Despite the massive success of the show, the job left him scarred, admitting that he hated every moment of it. According to Freddie, Kiefer is the most unprofessional dude in the world. Continuing to say that he wasn't talking trash, this was something he would happily say to Kiefer's face, and apparently a ton of his co-stars agree that he makes filming a living nightmare. Following the end of his character's time on the show, he did slow down in the acting world, now limiting himself to voiceover and cameo roles. The odd thing was that while there were some backing up Freddie's story, there were a higher number of defenders for Sutherland, claiming the exact opposite experience. Some say he's the most professional man in the world, so if anyone watching this knows Kiefer, weigh in. Are you Team Kiefer good or Kiefer bad? At number 3, Alyssa Milano. Alright, so let's talk about the show Charmed for a moment, a solid series that was on the air for almost 10 years. The series followed 3 sisters who discovered they were descendants of a line of good female witches and are destined to fight against the forces of evil. Yeah, it was a fun show, however, just because you play sisters on set doesn't mean you're as close in real life. Rose McGowan and Alyssa Milano had a very public altercation that resulted in a little incident on set being shared with the world. Rose claimed that Alyssa threw a fit in front of the crew yelling, "They don't pay me enough to do this stuff," only she didn't say stuff. She called Alyssa's behavior appalling, claiming she cried every time the show got renewed for another season because it meant more time on a toxic set. Alyssa never shared her own comments on the situation, confirming what she was being accused of. At number 2, Richard Gere. Richard Gere is one of those actors that doesn't really act. Sometimes people just get hired for films because they have the face for it or the style. For Richard Gere, he did not have enough class and moxie to keep a handle on his role in the film The Lords of Flatbush. He was cast to star alongside Rocky himself, Sylvester Stallone, and according to Sly, these two did not get along. Their beef was strong and long-lasting throughout production until it finally came to a head when one day Richard was a little too into a scene and grabbed Sylvester aggressively by the collar. When Stallone told him to lay off, he laid in instead. The scene was being filmed on Coney Island, and when the actors took a break, they tried to break each other. Stallone was eating a hot dog alone in a car. Sounds peaceful. But suddenly, Richard stormed in to join him with half a chicken dripping in mustard. Despite Sly's warning about the mustard, it dripped all over his pants. In true Rocky fashion, he elbowed Richard in the head and threw him out of the car. The altercation resulted in Richard being fired from the project. Oh no, we have to decide between Richard Gere and Sylvester Stallone. I wonder how quick that decision was. And at number 1, Dustin Hoffman. Dustin is a very easy man to spot. Not only is he a solid actor, but he has a very specific face. Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium, anyone? Remember that movie? I did not remember that existed until I started writing this script. I will be watching that tonight. Despite his ability to play lovable and cheerful characters, he actually started out as somewhat of a villain. On the second day of filming his more famous part in Kramer vs. Kramer, Dustin decided to improvise a scene where he strikes his co-star Meryl Streep across the face. Let me rephrase that. Dustin Hoffman thought it would be a great idea to strike Meryl Streep. Mamma mia, that's not okay. Not only was Meryl shocked by the move, but she recalled that Dustin was also trying to use a tactic on her called emotional recall, taunting her about her late partner John Cazale and his illness.
At number 10, Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts seems like a nice person, and I'm sure on her off days she's lovely, but on set she's been known to be kind of a handful and has caused some drama with the people that she's worked with. Though she's often cast as nice and endearing characters, there is much more to Julia than meets the eye. Apparently, according to her co-stars and past crew members, she's a nightmare to work with. A specific time when Julia was known to be especially nightmarish was when she starred in the 1991 Spielberg film Hook, a Peter Pan film. While working on the film, Julia earned the nickname Tinkerhell as a play on her character Tinkerbell, combined with the production's perception of the actress. Apparently, during filming, she would show up to set late all the time, she would lock herself in her trailer for hours on end, she would treat people badly, and she would never apologize for her actions or behavior. behavior. She caused quite a lot of drama with the people she worked with because she just wouldn't cooperate. At number 9, Bill Murray. Bill Murray already has a bad reputation in Hollywood for his poor on-set behavior, so it's no surprise to me to find out that he's had some serious drama with one of his castmates on the set of Charlie's Angels. While filming the movie, Bill Murray was said to have antagonized actress Lucy Liu. When watching the film, you would think that they were all good friends and on good terms, but in reality it was quite the opposite. The film set was sort of a hostile work environment that caused Bill to take on a disliking towards Lucy. Turns out Bill would insult Lucy's talent and acting ability, and on one occasion even said, quote, "I get why you're here, you got talent, but what in the hell are you doing here? You can't act." Apparently the harassment and bullying got so bad at one point that Lucy tried throwing punches at Bill during a scene because his insults got so bad. This antagonizing went on for the entire duration of production, and Bill kept on berating Lucy about her presence on set and calling her unprofessional as well. This drama was so unnecessary. Before we continue talking about on-set drama, why not take a quick second to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and while you're at it, consider subscribing to the channel to see more videos like this one. At number 8, Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase is known for being in National Lampoon and the show Community, but is also known around Hollywood as being kind of a jerk and starting drama with the people that he works with. There are a bunch of articles, books, and interviews of people talking about their experiences with the actor and how mean he can be. There are even stories in the book Live from New York that detail the times that Chase has been mean to staff, writers, interns, and other hosts. Will Ferrell and Bill Murray are among those who have taken a dislike to Chase because of the way he's treated others. Will Ferrell has said that he doesn't like Chevy because of the way he treats some of the female staff members. Bill Murray and Chevy Chase even got into a brawl backstage with SNL back in the day, where they said some pretty hurtful things to each other because they were kind of comedy rivals on the show. Chevy just doesn't get along with everyone, and he said that it's because fame went to his head, but something tells me that's not the only reason he starts drama. At number 7, Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling is one of Hollywood's most famous actors, but he also is someone who experienced getting fired because of on-set drama, and it first happened very early on in his career. Back in the 90s, Ryan was part of the Mickey Mouse Club alongside stars like Justin Timberlake, Christina Aguilera, and Britney Spears, but after some on-set drama, Ryan got fired from Disney. Ryan didn't stick around too long on the show because in an interview from 2008, Ryan opened up about his 2 years on the Disney Channel, where he revealed that things didn't work out well between him and the studio. The La La Land actor revealed that producers from the Disney Channel show thought that Ryan had a bit of an attitude problem and was seen as a bad influence on the other kids. The actor also went on to say that he was apparently considered to be such a menace to the other kids that the mothers of his co-stars went to the executives to complain about his behavior. The studio eventually decided that Ryan wasn't Disney material because of his behavior, and he was soon let go. At number 6, Megan Fox. A director kind of counts like a co-star, right? I mean, they work together, so let's just go with it. Megan Fox has been in a few pretty successful films before being cast in the Transformers film, but after the success of this franchise, she was launched into fame. That is until things came crashing down after getting fired from her role and facing a lot of backlash because of it. When she was fired from Transformers, Michael Bay said that the decision came after she was a, quote, nightmare to work with. What really happened is Megan made a comment about Michael Bay's behavior on set, commenting on how strict he was. On top of everything, when fellow director Steven Spielberg caught wind of these comments, he advised Bay to fire her, and that is exactly what happened. This drama caused Megan to lose her job and also gain a reputation of being hard to work with, which followed her for many years, so this drama really affected her a lot. Her career is slowly coming back to where it was before this drama went down. At number 5, Emma Roberts. Emma Roberts has had quite a few feuds with co-stars. She's had drama with Gabri Sidibe, Ariana Grande, and Evan Peters, but the biggest feud that she's had was with Lea Michele on the set of Scream Queens. According to sources, Emma Roberts and Lea Michele had one strong attribute in common, and that was the fact that they were both divas, and so while they were working together, they butt heads with each other quite often. Apparently, their fighting got so bad while working that during filming, actress Jamie Lee Curtis had to step in and mediate the hostile situation between Emma and Lea because she was just so fed up with their constant bickering while they were trying to work. It was also reported that the actresses would constantly have mean girl moments, making rude and catty comments towards each other almost daily. Rumors of this feuding between them were pretty common in entertainment news while Scream Queens was still in production, showing that things never really died down between the two actresses. It seemed like Emma just caused a heck of a lot of drama with a lot of people on set. At number 4, Lea Michele. Lea Michele was exposed last year for her Hollywood mean streak and for her terrible on-set behavior, as well as the drama that she caused with people on set. This all came out following a tweet from former Glee co-star Samantha Ware, where she let the world know how horrible it was to work work with Leah. The actress is now described as, quote, callous, rude, mean, and even a diva. But following Samantha's exposure of the Broadway star, other people have come forward with their own testimonies regarding Leah and her mean streak. There have been stories of Leah's microaggressions, but also stories of her spitting in craft service food that she doesn't like, refusing to work with people because they don't know her middle name, requesting reshoots because she didn't like her costume, disrespecting other castmates and having crew members apologize on her behalf, and so many other frustrating tidbits that really just showed how rude and entitled she's been known to be. It was never a dull moment on set, but not in a good way. At number 3, Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis has been really successful in his career, but it seems as though he's not all that great to be around on set. Though his films are often very well made, it all comes at a price that those who've worked alongside him have had to pay. Apparently, Bruce is a nightmare to work with, as he's gotten into a number of conflicts with others on set, and they really just hate working with him. In the time before Die Hard launched his film career, Bruce found most of his success after working on the show Moonlighting alongside his co-star Sybil Shepherd. In 2005, Shepherd dished about her time working with Bruce, where she told sources that there came a point where her relationship with Bruce became volatile and they clashed a lot on set. There was reportedly constant bickering between the two of them, and it was just a toxic environment. But Sybil isn't the only one to say that they've clashed with Bruce while working together. Filmmaker Kevin Smith has also had troubles working with the actor while filming the 2010 film Cop Out. He told sources that though Bruce was his hero in past productions, that opinion went out the window, saying that working with Bruce was almost unbearable. When talking about their time together on set, Kevin said, quote, he turned out to be the unhappiest, most bitter, meanest, emo B-word I've ever met at any job I've held down, and mind you, I worked at Domino's Pizza. What an awful experience. End quote. At number 2, Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf has really been going through it in Hollywood. He kind of has a bad reputation now because of the conflicts he's been in, the latest of which got him fired from a movie. Because of his bad attitude and clashes on set, the actor was fired by Olivia Wilde from the upcoming film Don't Worry Darling. It was announced in late fall last year that Harry Styles would be replacing Shia in the film, and now we know that it was due to Shia's alleged bad behavior, as people have cited that Shia is, quote, not an easy guy to work with. It was alleged that there was some kind of conflict between him and Olivia Wilde as well, and so because of that and the fact that other cast and crew members didn't like working with him, Shia was let go. Getting fired is always a negative, but in Hollywood, when your work involves relationships with others and having connections, having a bad experience that was enough to get you fired can ultimately burn that bridge and result in you having less and less connections in the industry, therefore having less and less opportunities to find work. Bottom line, starting drama at work is not good. And finally, at number 1, Mike Myers. Having things not go your way can certainly cause you to have a bad attitude about things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to take your feelings out on others. When Mike Myers was filming the 2003 live-action version of The Cat in the Hat, that is exactly what he did. Because he was so cheesed that he had to do this movie, he started drama with just about everyone he worked with. After the success of Austin Powers, Mike was set to star in some more comedy films, but before that was all carried out, the actor and the studio got into some debates and there was some legal trouble, and it caused some drama. Both sides ended up reaching an agreement, and it obligated Mike to star in the Cat in the Hat movie. He never wanted to sign up for that, and he really made it known how badly he did not want to be there, because according to people who worked with him on set during filming of the Cat in the Hat, Mike was very rude and dismissive, and he refused to talk to anyone. He became a hermit and a diva apparently, and this whole experience and the subsequent film were all so bad that Dr. Seuss's widow said that she would never allow Hollywood to make another movie based on Seuss's books again. He really wanted everyone to feel the same displeasure he was feeling about the film, but that certainly wasn't fair to the other people who worked so hard to bring it to life. At number 10, Kaylee Cuoco and Johnny Galecki. It turns out that these two stars dated on and off screen, but not everybody knew about it. Big Bang Theory stars Kaylee Cuoco and Johnny Galecki have had a pretty solid relationship over the years, but it turns out that not everybody knows just how close these two are. On an episode of Dax Shepard's podcast, Kaylee spilled the beans and exposed her old relationship with her former co-star, telling the audience that she and Johnny had dated for 2 years during the show's run. Opening up about the whole thing, Kaylee told Dax, quote, we dated really early on for almost 2 years. When we did the pilot, I was crushing so hard on Galecki, but he had a girlfriend. We got together and just fell mad for each other for 2 years, but then we broke up. Luckily, Johnny and I came out of it so brilliantly, and we're closer today than we ever were. Even though Kaylee and Johnny are better off as friends, it makes things a little clearer when you look at the chemistry that their characters had on screen. It's good to know that even though things didn't exactly work out romantically, they're still very close. At number 9, Ashley Benson and Cara Delevingne. For Ashley Benson and Cara Delevingne, they like to keep their private lives private, and that includes their love life, but just because they kept their romance out of the spotlight doesn't mean that fans wouldn't go looking. Since the moment people found out that they were working on a film together back in 2018, the speculation arose surrounding their potential relationship. In April 2018, the two were filming the movie Her Smell, and not too long afterwards, in May of that year, the relationship speculation came about after Ashley posted their first selfie together on Instagram. Following this event, fans couldn't lay off looking into their supposed relationship, though the pair never confirmed anything. These fans were certainly dedicated to sniffing out their relationship. Both Ashley and Cara went on record saying that even if they were in a relationship, they wouldn't confirm it because they'd like to keep their private lives private, but soon enough the pair was spotted kissing in public and basically confirmed all of the rumors. Finally, in June 2019, Cara confirmed that the two were dating and that they had moved in together, making their fans jump for joy, but unfortunately their relationship wasn't meant to last and the couple have since broken up. But I mean, they really went a while without publicly announcing their relationship, so they got to savor those moments without much scrutiny. Now, before I carry on with the video, I would like to take a moment to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video because it really helps us out a lot, and also some of our friends from Most Amazing Top 10 have a brand new channel coming out called Bumblebee, and if you love strange and mysterious content, keep an eye out on August 11th when their first video goes live, so make sure to go subscribe to them now and tell them that we sent you. At number 8, Brenda Song and Macaulay Culkin. I guess you could say that for these two, the movie Changeland changed their lives forever. But I'll take my leave. Former Disney Channel star Brenda Song and former child actor Macaulay Culkin got together after working on the film Changeland after being introduced by Seth Green, and from that point on, it's been the two of them against the world. Their relationship is public knowledge now, but that wasn't the case at the beginning of their relationship because they kept their personal lives to themselves. Rumors of their relationship only started swirling in 2017, but they never publicly addressed it until 2019. Between that time, when people would ask about the rumor that they were seeing each other, they would basically respond with the good old no comment response. Once they officially went public with their relationship, that's when we got to find out the juicy details regarding their pets, what they like about each other, and how in love they are. To make things even cuter, Brenda and Macaulay recently welcomed their first child in April of this year. At number 7, Matthew Broderick and Jennifer Grey. One of my favorite movies of all time is Ferris Bueller's Day Off, so to find out about the secret relationship that was going on the set of this movie is an extra special treat for me, and it might be for you as well. Turns out that Matthew Broderick, who played Ferris Bueller, and Jennifer Grey, who played Ferris's sister Jeannie, were actually a couple, and they were even engaged at one point. According to Jennifer, the romance started while they were filming Ferris Bueller, saying that it was a little difficult for them because their relationship was a secret. Their romance even affected their work because even though they were supposed to be playing rival siblings in the movie, always being at each other's throats, Jennifer would say that they would often break character, saying, quote, "I got the giggles so bad that they basically had to stop production. I full on couldn't get it together for anything. The producers were like, take a walk around the block, and I would, and it would start again. It was painful. The giggling was because of all the energy between us." At number 6, Vanessa Hudgens and Josh Hutcherson. Raise your hand if you didn't know that Vanessa Hudgens and Josh Hutcherson dated. Don't be shy, it's okay if you didn't know, because apparently a lot of people didn't. Turns out that Josh and Vanessa dated sometime around 2011. Now, we don't have much information about their relationship because it was kept so hush-hush, but what we do know is that it happened, and then it happened while they were filming the movie Journey 2. The two met on set of the film and hit it off from there, but their relationship was pretty short-lived. The public only found out that they had briefly dated when the two of them were doing press for Journey 2 and someone asked how long they'd been dating. There's a video of the cringy revelation that they had dated and broken up already, but because I like you guys, I will spare you that agony. But if you want to go watch it on your own time, after this video of course, just don't say I didn't warn you. At number 5, Kit Harington and Rose Leslie. I think I speak for many Game of Thrones fans when I say Kit Harington and Rose Leslie's relationship had us going for a wild ride. Kit Harington and Rose Leslie met while filming the second season of Game of Thrones, and from then they haven't looked back. They're the ones who gave us the iconic you-know-nothing Jon Snow, and from that point we knew they were perfect. After seeing their chemistry together on screen, fans started suspecting that maybe there was something there that was a little bit more than friendly, and soon they were being spotted together in public and and rumors started swirling of a relationship beginning to blossom between Jon Snow and Ygritte. They kept their relationship pretty private for the most part, as fans only had rumors and speculation to go off of in regards to their favorite Game of Thrones couple, which was a little annoying, but hey, what are you gonna do? It wasn't until 2016 that the couple went public with their relationship, with Kit confirming that they did fall in love while filming Game of Thrones in Iceland. The couple later got engaged in 2017, married in 2018, and they recently welcomed their first child together earlier this year in February 2021. Happily ever after. At number 4, Nina Dobrev and Ian Somerhalder. When The Vampire Diaries was still on TV, that was a weird time for all of us. At least for us angsty teens with way too many feelings. A lot of us got way too invested in the show and with the actors, so when Nina Dobrev and Ian Somerhalder started dating, it's no wonder they wanted to keep it private. These two actors reportedly started dating while working on the show in 2010, and they were able to keep it pretty much under wraps for about a year. The couple dated for 3 years, but they kept that first year completely to themselves. They were one of those couples who were able to turn their on-screen chemistry into a real relationship and remain friends after they broke up. Fans of the show were obsessed with Nina and Ian's relationships, so much so that the couple won an award for favorite on-screen chemistry. In 2012, there was a rumor circulating that they had gotten engaged, and though they denied that, fans still remained skeptical, though it didn't matter in the end since they ended up breaking up. They still remain on good terms, and apparently Nina is good friends with Ian's wife, so it all worked out in the end. At number 3, Lily Reinhart and Cole Sprouse. Sticking with the theme of teen drama actors and their fans who are way too obsessed with their personal lives, we have Riverdale stars Lily Reinhart and Cole Sprouse. From very early on in the show's run, Bughead was really what fans got excited for. Bughead, for those who don't know, is a ship name for Cole and Lily's characters, Betty and Jughead. So when Bughead became a real thing, fans were over the moon, but it took them a little while to clue in because Cole and Lily were able to keep their relationship a secret for quite a while. There was speculation that the two started dating in early 2017, but it wasn't confirmed until later that year when Lily posted a beautiful Instagram post for Cole's birthday. They never really exploited their relationship much, even after it was confirmed, and tried to keep their personal lives private. In 2018, they made their relationship red carpet official as they attended the Met Gala together, but even then the details of their relationship remained pretty minimal. In an interview, Lily said, quote, "No one knows how long we've been together, and no one will until we're ready to say it. No one knows how we fell in love except for our close friends and us. It's really special." Sadly, for Bughead fans, they've since broken up, but their relationship will still be remembered as one of the sweetest. At number 2, Alexis Bledel and Jared Padalecki. There's nothing better than finding out some juicy secrets about one of your favorite shows years later. That's what fans of Gilmore Girls experienced when they found out that there had been a secret romance that went undetected between Alexis Bledel and Jared Padalecki. It turns out that though they were love interests on the show, their chemistry bled into real life and they had dated while filming the show. But this secret was kept until 9 years after the show ended. Nearly a decade later, and fans of the show finally get to know what was going on behind the scenes. Don't know why they kept it a secret for so long, but hey, at least it's out now. And finally, at number 1, Ross Lynch and Jazz Sinclair. Fans of the chilling adventures of Sabrina were over the moon to find out that 2 members of the show's cast were in a relationship. This revelation came 2 years after it was suspected that there was a romance brewing between Ross Lynch and Jazz Sinclair. As per usual, fans and press alike were searching for clues as to what was going on between the 2 stars, but they were pretty good at hiding their relationship. Fans only got confirmation of the relationship after they went TikTok official in 2020, after they posted a video of the 2 of them dancing together and almost sharing a kiss. Ross and Jazz remain in a relationship, and I personally hope that they never break up because they're just so cute together. At number 10, Jared Padalecki and Genevieve Cortez. Shout out to the Supernatural fans because I put this one on here just for you guys because this one is a match made in hell, so to speak. Supernatural actor Jared Padalecki met his wife Genevieve Cortez while they were working together on the 4th season of Supernatural. Genevieve was guest starring in a few episodes that season, playing a demon named Ruby. Jared has said in a few interviews that he was instantly attracted to Jen from the moment he saw her, but also recalled that in the moment that they met, she was standing in her underwear. During a panel in 2012, the actor told the story of how he first met his wife, where he said, quote, "I was a single dude and she was a pretty girl in her underwear on the first day of set. I was very excited to meet her. Meanwhile, I think she was like, who is this long-haired a-hole who think he can talk to me while I'm reading a book? I interrupted her while she was reading a book and I think she was kind of fussy about it. I was very attracted to her and I got to know her. I was very excited to take her out to lunch." End quote. Jared also explained that what made things work between them was that they, quote, got to know each other for about 4 months before they went on a date. They officially took their relationship from on-screen into the real world and have been together ever since, welcoming 3 children along the way. At number 9, Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher. Even though it took years for them to start dating, I guess the chemistry that they had on screen was just too electric to let slide. Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher met in 1998 while working on That 70s Show. Mila sort of grew up around Ashton as she was only about 14 or 15 when she was first cast on the show as Ashton's character's love interest. Ashton was actually Mila's first kiss, which sort of makes their happily ever after story just that much cuter. Mila has said in interviews that while working with Ashton on set, she apparently had a huge crush on her co-star. However, because Mila had gotten into a serious relationship with Macaulay Culkin that lasted nearly a decade, things didn't really get to blossom with Ashton until years later. It wasn't until around 2012 when both Mila and Ashton became single again after getting out of their respective relationships that they finally found their way back to each other, and the rest is history. Now before I carry on with the list, I'd like to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and also consider checking out my gaming channel Viper Girl. I've got gameplay content, top 10s, and more, so go check it out and subscribe while you're there. At number 8, Colleen Ballinger and Eric Stocklin. Imagine casting your husband, not in plaster, but in a show or movie. Well, this is what happened with YouTube star and actress Colleen Ballinger, as her on-screen love interest became her real-life husband. When Colleen was casting people for her Netflix show Haters Back Off, she met Eric Stocklin and cast him in the show. From there, they pretty much hit things off and later began a relationship. The couple got married in 2018 and later welcomed their first child together. It's crazy to think that these two met and fell so deeply in love because Colleen cast her future husband in her Netflix original show. I think that is the true definition of Netflix and chill. At number 7, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. Brad and Angelina have a bit of a complicated love story because it sort of started while Brad was still married to Jennifer Aniston. Things were okay between Brad and Jen until Angelina came into the picture after she and Brad met while working on the film Mr. and Mrs. Smith in the summer of 2004. Fast forward to 2005 and Brad and Jennifer were no more, and the actor had his chance to move on with Angie. Brad's divorce became a whirlwind breakup because of cheating scandals, as Angie became the other woman of sorts, and even as things died down over the years, tabloids would still bring this drama up from time to time, almost making it seem as though things aren't exactly over for this unfortunate love triangle. Brangelina became something of a Hollywood power couple as they continued to dominate the industry, all while having an over decade-long relationship and adopting kids together and getting married in 2014. Unfortunately, things didn't exactly work out between them, but at least they tried, right? At number 6, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively are one of the best Hollywood couples in my opinion because they're just so much fun. They love to poke fun at each other online and on the red carpet, and they just sound like a hoot and a half, but it's even more fun to find out how they met. Ryan and Blake met while filming the movie Green Lantern together, but they didn't immediately hit things off like some of the other couples on this list. At the time, Ryan was still married to Scarlett Johansson, but not for much longer after Ryan met Blake. There had apparently been a little bit of speculation that there was a bit of a spark between Ryan and Blake, but that spark was later confirmed after Ryan's 2010 divorce, as the following year he and Blake were seen spending a lot of time together, being photographed holding hands and leaving each other's apartments. The couple ended up getting married in a secret ceremony in 2012 and have been together ever since, and have been known to share some fun details about married life, so I think it's safe to say that they're pretty happy together and seem to be a good match. At number 5, Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos. After learning about Kelly and Mark's love story, I might be more inclined to believe in love at first sight because it doesn't get any cuter than this. The pair first met back when they were on the soap opera All My Children. Well, they really met during a screen test in 1995, as Mark was hoping to get cast as Kelly's character's love interest. After meeting on set, the couple started dating in secret. When Mark described how he felt about Kelly when they first met, he said, quote, "I thought she was adorable, hot, and sexy and all that stuff," end quote. By 1996, their dating got more serious. They didn't need to take much time to get to know each other because they knew deep down that they were soulmates, and so they decided to get married and eloped in Las Vegas. These two haven't looked back since. They've continued being a power couple and awesome parents, raising 3 kids together. At number 4, Chad Michael Murray and Sophia Bush. Sophia Bush and Chad Michael Murray were one of the hottest couples of the early 2000s. They were like the Kim and Kanye of the time, and in more ways than one. The couple first met and fell in love on set of their TV teen drama One Tree Hill in 2003, and the two were engaged and wed in 2005. But sadly, things weren't meant to work out in life off screen, as after only 5 months of marriage they split up, and there's reportedly been tension ever since. According to Sophia, she said that she never wanted to marry Chad in the first place, and that it was the people around her as well as the One Tree Hill producers who pressured her into the marriage. She thought the whole thing was a bad idea, but apparently it was all for publicity. Years later, when asked about her relationship with Chad in an interview with Andy Cohen, she said, quote, "My mother once said to me, if you don't have anything nice to say, not to say anything at all. Maybe getting with your co-stars is a little bit messier than we once thought." At number 3, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner. Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner worked on a handful of movies before finally ending up together, and it's almost as if the universe was teasing them or something. The pair first started alongside each other in 2000 after working on the movie Pearl Harbor. At this time, Jennifer was already married to Scott Foley. Fast forward a few years to the summer of 2002, when Jennifer and Ben were reunited on the set of the movie Daredevil. Though both Ben and Jennifer were in relationships at the time, Ben would later go on to say that this was the set where they fell in love with each other. By 2003, people were catching on to their apparent flirtatious vibes, as after they guest starred on Dinner for Five, all people were talking about was how flirtatious these two were being with each other. Eventually, Jennifer and Ben did get out of their respective relationships and started a new relationship of their own. However, that one didn't exactly work out. They got married in 2005, but they hit a rough patch, so to speak, and divorced about a decade later. At number 2, Miley Cyrus and Liam Hemsworth. Miley Cyrus and Liam Hemsworth had a pretty rocky relationship. The couple dated on and off for about a decade, and it all started after they were cast together in a movie. The couple first met while filming the movie The Last Song, and after hitting it off on set and after a few months of speculation, they confirmed their relationship in 2010. After that, things were rocky for a few years. The couple had gone through about 2 breakups and makeups before they confirmed their engagement in 2012, only to have broken up again in 2013. Years later, the couple reconciled and the engagement was back on. From then, they faced plenty of challenging moments together, from tabloid reports to their house burning down during the California wildfires in 2018. They finally tied the knot at a private wedding ceremony in December of 2018, but their marriage was short-lived, as in August 2019, their breakup was confirmed and they soon filed for divorce, and it was finalized in early 2020. They had a long decade of ups and downs together, but some fans still hold out hope that this isn't the last they will see of this couple, hoping that it isn't their last song. And finally, at number 1, Kit Harington and Rose Leslie. Game of Thrones stars Kit Harington and Rose Leslie met on the 2nd season of Game of Thrones, and from then on they haven't looked back. Soon they were spotted together in public, and rumors started swirling of a relationship beginning to blossom between Jon Snow and Ygritte. They kept their relationship pretty private for the most part, as fans only really had rumors and speculation to go off of in regards to their favorite Game of Thrones couple. It wasn't until 2016 that the couple finally went public with their relationship, with Kit confirming that they had fell in love while filming Game of Thrones in Iceland. The couple later got engaged in 2017, married in 2018, and they just recently welcomed their first child earlier this year in February 2021.